All right, this is pretty massive news. George Knapp, who's essentially the godfather of UAP reporting, was the one who kind of brought Bob Lazar to light, and amongst other things, does his podcast with Jeremy Corbell and has been a reporter in Vegas for a long time. He sat down with Robert Bigelow, Billionaire Robert Bigelow, who's he's been around. His name has been associated with the topic for a very long time, with the things that he knows, things that he's seen, things that he might have. So in a long interview with him, Bigelow told Knapp that he actually briefed the president in February of this year about UFO disclosure and what that entails. So I'm going to play this clip. It's a longer clip. It's about a 4-minute clip, but there's a lot in it. So I want to play this, and then we'll break it down afterwards. But it's pretty fascinating. Check it.
This is interesting stuff. Robert Bigelow has spent more than 40 years and tens of millions of his own dollars digging into UFOs and possible non-human intelligence interacting with humanity. He thinks the time has come for some sort of formal disclosure, and that Trump is the guy to do it. Coincidentally or not, in the 5 months since their White House meeting, the government has started releasing piles of UFO-related information.
And disclosure was one of the topics. And so when I was ready, I asked to see him. And so February the 6th, I was in the Oval Office with the president.
Las Vegas tycoon Robert Bigelow has known Donald Trump for years, has donated millions to Trump's campaigns, and knew he'd get a formal sit-down at some point, but didn't know how much time he'd have to make his pitch. It turned out to be 75 minutes, a hefty chunk. Bigelow says a presidential aide cleared off the Resolute desk. Bigelow plopped down 7 reports on 7 subjects and jumped right into UFO disclosure.
I was emphasizing that the disclosure process, starting with confirmation, is a big deal. That really is important for somebody like the President of the United States to say, yeah, they're real, they're here, and eliminate all the other nonsense, all the noise that's been going on for 80 years.
You go into it with an idea of not just things in the sky floating around, some mystery. We've got the goods. Somewhere there are crashes. Do you tell them that there are bodies, that there are crash retrieval vehicles of unknown origin, or how specific do you get on that?
I basically focused on him and how to prepare himself if he's not already prepared.
Bigelow declines to repeat anything the president said in response, not even gestures or facial expressions. The report he wrote for Trump included recaps of some notable, well-documented UFO incidents and cases, along with specific comments that could be shared with the public, including a suggestion that it be delivered in one of the quick exchanges the president has with reporters aboard Air Force One.
And this is what I want you to say, Mr. President. A non-human intelligent presence has been on Earth for a very long time, using spacecraft and with performances completely beyond our capabilities and our human physics. And that's it. To say nothing else. That's it. That's all. Because what this is disclosure, and it's actually confirmation.
A primary angle in Bigelow's proposal to the president was a preemptive pardon, amnesty for the private contractors who've helped the government hide the truth for 80 years. Bigelow says he has direct knowledge of aerospace companies which have stashed and analyzed materials and craft of unknown origin. Their expertise will be vital in educating and reassuring the public, he says.
And if it's handled right, it can be done successfully.
If you were president, would you announce that, yes, we've got crash retrievals, yes, we have reverse engineering programs, and yes, we've got bodies?
Yeah, because the rest of the world already knows that. The people that count in Russia and China already know.
In the months since their February meeting, the White House has authorized an ongoing release of UFO files and videos, some of which were already in the public arena, with promises of more releases in the months ahead. Bigelow isn't the only Trump whisperer interested in the subject.
And I think there's a stigma associated with this.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio was one of the most vocal members of Congress urging UFO transparency back when he was a senator. Donald Trump Jr. has raised the subject subject with his dad. Vice President J.D. Vance says he's fascinated too, but thinks UFOs might be demons. Bigelow won't say whether he made a dent in Trump's opinion about UFOs and ETs. The president's previous comments have been largely non-committal, although he has authorized the release of government files. The strongest part of the pitch might have been Bigelow's suggestion that UFO disclosure would cement Trump's place in history.
The world goes so fast, but the president that took on the challenge of disclosure and of confirmation and actually built a satisfactory conclusion of a relationship between human beings and that subject is going to go down in history as having really accomplished something.
Okay, a few weeks ago, two of Anthropic's newest models, Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5, they got pulled offline worldwide overnight. Not because they broke, because of the U.S. export control rules. A little over 2 weeks later, those controls they lifted. And then both models they were right back on and some capability and right back in your hands. That's not marketing stunt. That's an AI model that is now being treated like something with real geopolitical weight. That's exactly the kind of tool that's sitting inside Claude right now, waiting for someone to actually use it properly. And that's exactly why I am partnering with OutSkill's Claude Mastery Sprint, which is a weekend-long hands-on program built entirely around Claude and how to actually use it. The event is happening this weekend from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. EST. So over 2 days, you'll run real deep research workflows, build your own artifacts and dashboards, put together full presentations, and set up automations that take the busy work off of your plate, including your job search. You'll get hands-on with Claude Code, build custom agents, and generate AI visuals and video, and walk out with your week running on autopilot. Registration is through the link in my bio and in the description. You got to scan the QR code to join the community before it closes. Sign up now, and you're going to unlock 3 bonuses, 50 secret Claude codes, and turn it into a good tier tool, a complete AI prompt library, and a personal AI toolkit builder. So check it out. The link is in my description. All right, there's really a lot there, obviously. I think the reason why Bigelow's as successful as he is, as smart as he is, he knows how to approach things. And that's the way you have to do it, where he's like, well, did you use this language? Did you use that? He's very careful. You could see it in his face that he wasn't going to give the actual language of what he said, but he said, I made it about him, which is what you have to do in that situation with Trump, right? You have to make it about him. And as he says at the end, I'm sure the big pitch was, think about what this would do for your legacy. Think about what this would do as far as you. It is the way to approach it. Now, the other thing is, it's not the first time he probably ever heard that. The question is, overall, how important does he take Bigelow? Or how serious does he take Bigelow? Now, just because someone donates to your campaign, what that means is that you'll give him 70 minutes to sit down with you and talk to you. Doesn't necessarily mean that you go, oh, he's coming in. I really, listen to what this guy says. Maybe he thinks he's a kook. Maybe he thinks he's crazy. But he takes his money. That happens in politics all of the time. Maybe he thinks he's absolutely 100% serious and he's really thinking about it. And that's why he's going through these things. Since, as Knapp said, since that meeting in February, we've now gotten a release of many, many documents. So is that part of this particular plan? As Knapp said, Bigelow does not give a big brief of everything that was said in there. Could be a calculated plan of how was I going to do that? How am I going to do this? Well, if you were, you should do it this way. You should do it that way. What he is specific about is what he said, like, this is what you should say. You should just say this. Clearly, and we did a video of Bigelow probably like 2 years ago on this channel about how he was on, I can't remember which program it was. This guy knows stuff and believes stuff and has stuff. So it really just depends inside of that meeting what he really said and how much he basically, if he was convincing. And as I mentioned earlier, it depends on if he is taken seriously. Just because someone is successful and a billionaire and whatever in that circle, you're still running around with the other high elite people that they could have a low opinion of you as far as what the hell. Here he comes. He's talking nonsense again. As long as I give him this or I give him that, you know what? Release a couple of these things here too, and he'll donate another, million or 2 million or 3 million, or next time around, or to somebody else too. I don't know. Or he's listening to what he's saying, and he's like, and because as he mentioned, or Nat mentioned, there are the people that also have been involved in this topic. Now, Rubio has definitely been outspoken about this before he got this new position that he has now with Trump. When they asked him about age of disclosure afterwards, he kind of like, I was kind of taken out of context. I don't know. He's not really getting involved in it anymore. So he's not like really a forefront guy in the way that he used to be. His son, I don't know. It seems like there are people inside of Trump's family that want to get this topic out there for sure. J.D. Vance, I've completely given up on after his ridiculous conversation that he had when he was on Rogan's show about how the thing he said is like, wow, how come things haven't been leaked? They have been. They have been leaked. That's the whole reason why Grush was out there. It's been leaked. And a bunch, and I don't have the time really to deal with it. But you have 2.5, 3 hours to be on Rogan's show. So, putting him in there, Knapp even kind of throws something at the end. He goes, yeah, but he thinks that they're demons. So, there are definitely other people inside Circle that are fighting for this. Clearly, whether it's Burleson or on the opposite side of things with Garcia. There's tons of people that are still fighting for this thing overall. It's just a matter of how many people are chirping in his ears and how many people inside of his circle are actually chirping in his ears that he's going to listen to. That is the major thing here. And if this does indeed, if it is a calculated plan, and if he does take these words seriously, do we get an announcement similar to what Bigelow was saying about disclosure of this is the overall deal? We have discovered that there has been an attempt to cover up. We no longer want to make sure that the people know the truth, and the truth is this, and then walk away, like Bigelow says. That would then, if that small but mighty announcement was made, it would then change things dramatically, because it's one thing when you have pilots or other people saying it and people are like, I haven't heard anything like that. I don't know. But if the Pentagon and the White House are making that claim that they have discovered that, then everyone else around him has to say, well, at least on his circle of things, has to say, oh, I guess it is real. Otherwise, they're going against the narrative of what the White House is putting out there. I don't know what to make of disclosure anymore. I really don't. Whether it's just a pipe dream, whether it's something that will continue to just kind of trickle out like this year after year after year after year, or will something actually really big happen? Because it seems like these big, it's amazing how it's a kind of this vicious circle that continues to happen again and again and again and again every year. There's dead periods where no one's talking about it, or it's just, little bits of news, little things here, lead ups, and there's like big dumps of things. There's a big conversation about things, and then it slows down. Nobody's talking about it. Does that change? I don't know. And I do find that this kind of stuff, though, when you have people like Bigelow who have been involved in this topic for a long time, having the conversation with the White House, I think it's important. Now, the other question that I would have liked to have known, and maybe it's inside of this longer interview, I don't know, is this the first time that he's ever had this conversation with the president in this length? Now, clearly, in the beginning of the interview, he says that he didn't know how much time he was going to get with him, and he got like 70 minutes, and he sat down with him, and he said, and this was one of the things, the few topics that he brought up. So we'll see if it had any impact whatsoever. What do you guys make of it? You think it's something? It's nothing? Is this going to actually lead to disclosure? What say you? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Make sure you click like, comment, subscribe, do all that and more. Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you back here real soon.